Okay, we are back, and we're talking about gun violence and what can be done in America to kind of curtail that. And in particularly, right now, this segment, we're talking about what can blacks do to try to help with that. I want to turn to Caleb and ask him, New York Times best-selling artist, we want to ask him, what do you think can be done?
I think one of the things is they need to get rid of the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment, I mean, and it's clear what it says. It says, it talks about the militia, a militia being necessary to maintain a free state. The right to bear arms, it should be blah, 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 blah. And so in every single document, they listed the reasoning for it first. We hold these truths to be self-evident, you know what I mean, blah, 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 and then they list the grievances. So every single document they've ever crafted, they list the reason for crafting that document. And this document was about the maintenance of a militia. And so, and also this document was crafted during the time when there was a threat that you're gonna have the French come across the Mississippi Valley and invade from Louisiana or invade from Canada, or you might have a British fleet show up across New England and come down from Canada. The Spanish may come up from Florida or come from the West. And so this document was crafted during those times when it was a real threat of a Spanish armada showing up off the coast. And so, but it's an anachronism, and it needs to. It definitely needs to be revisited.
Well, let me ask you this, Caleb. Are we, and I'm digressing a little bit on our subject, but is America now more vulnerable to those type of attacks that we might be able to have than we were before? And do we maybe need the guns in this area? And I'm just being the devil's advocate.
Right.
I'm asking you.
As far as a foreign attack?
Yeah, foreign, yeah.
No. So America has the strongest, by far, the strongest Navy in the world, the strongest Air Force in the world, the strongest Army in the world. And so, and even so, a lot of times you hear these militia people say, well, it's to stop government overreach, because they understand there's no threat of a foreign attack. So, but it's to stop government overreach. But my thing is this: you have the AK-47, you have the M4, which is your AR-15, and so your AR-15, and I'm talking to the militia folks. Your AR-15 is not going to stop the latest variant of a M1A2 Abrams, a SEP-4 package with Tusk package on. It has depleted uranium armor. You know what I'm talking about. You're not gonna scratch the paint. And so,
because I have no idea what the hell he's saying.
They know what I'm talking about. They're not gonna get up.
Okay.
They're not gonna grab you're not gonna grab your inhaler and grab your insulin pen and meet your buddies in the woods, and you're not gonna stop that. You know what I mean? And so you know that. And so the idea that you're going to stop government overreach is insane and is laughable.
Let me ask Fred. Go ahead.
The problem, we can't do it. Okay, we can't.
Who's we?
Black. Your question was, what can black people do?
Mm-hmm.
It's that class of whites who never voted in their best interest.
Mm-hmm.
They never do. Going all the way back to 1876, they didn't vote in their best interest. They have to, they have to get out of their heads this idea that the Second Amendment is the greatest amendment written. And the Second Amendment gives me a right to carry a gun and go kill somebody. And this whole idea where they say only the criminals will have guns. Well, what makes a person a criminal? The ability to buy a gun. And then it's after the fact.
But even then, this idea of government overreach or government tyranny, and I hate to tell them this, but for black and brown people, government tyranny has existed since the beginning of this country. And so, and for white folks, government overreach, you're a couple of decades late, because government overreach happened after September 11th, and everything you said and did was monitored by the United States government. And so this idea that all of a sudden you're concerned about government overreach or government intrusion and all this kind of stuff, you're late, buddy. You're decades late.
But that's a joke. It's not going to be government. The danger are these groups that they're forming, more so than the government.
But but the existence for these groups, their rationale is we're forming this militia because we're going to fight the United States government.
And that's the joke.
That is.
That's the joke.
There's a lack of, we're seeing from these group of people a lack of logic.
Yes.
Exactly.
On the why.
They don't even know. They don't even know what the word means.
I think we can all applaud that. I
Yeah.
like 'em now.
Now, I already know, and I welcome the comments, because I will say it again. There is a lack of logic in why you have a household full of guns.
Yes.
And then if you don't have enough space in the house, it's out in the back, back somewhere behind the house. I don't understand the logic. Why?
Well, let me.
You just answered it.
I
You don't
know.
understand the
There's a
logic. You
lack
just said
of logic.
there's a lack of logic.
But still, you still can't help but ask, why?
Yeah.
Well, I want to protect my family. You can't even move in the house because there's so many weapons in the house.
Well, let me ask this question. Fred made mention that, of course, at the beginning of this segment, I said, what can black folks do? Let's talk about those black legislators, the two that were expelled.
Well, you see what happened to them?
No, I'm saying.
No, they got expelled.
But my
That shows you these white folks don't care.
No, I'm
and
not
they
saying.
did it. They did it
But-
Wait a minute,
against the
Fred.
blacks.
I was going to ask, what can you do to support those? To support them?
We're doing it right now.
Okay.
We're doing it right now on this show.
And so what
We're
can
doing
those
it.
people that are out in the audience, what can they do?
The people in Tennessee are going to do something because they're going to send those two black young men back to the legislature. Okay, they're going to do something. Everyone is talking about it, not only blacks, but whites, and that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Whites are seeing what's
Yes.
happening.
Right.
And I don't think they're going to be, what happened to us during the Jim Crow years was the apathy of white people. They let the lynchings and everything happen. Even the President Roosevelt told blacks, I can't support an anti-lynching because I need the Southern white vote.
Right.
They're not going to sit around. Even the president came out and made a statement. Sent the vice president into Tennessee to meet with him. So I don't think, I believe in the long run, those white folks made a terrible error.
Well,
They
what
made
you're
a
going to
terrible
see
error.
here is all the people who did see what happened. They're going to see and who are appalled at what happened.
Right.
And that's black, white, green,
Yes,
red,
I
whatever,
agree.
right? They're looking at the long-term implications that if they don't get these guys back in those seats, that these guys and women who had the gall to expel because they didn't like what someone said.
Right.
Right. They didn't like what someone said, and they're going to find some 1800, 1700, note saying we're going to expel you for that. The guys were expelled because one of the legislators said, and I can't think, I don't know the exact wording of their protest statement, but in it was, no, there will be no peace. And they questioned Pearson, well, what do you mean by no peace? That was a threat. That was a threat. And so we have a lot of politicians, again, in office who are not logical, crazy as a Betsy bug, okay?
We had a president like that.
And they're putting this country in a position to where any democracy that we appreciate could be stripped away. And you have a lot of people who understand the implications of those actions. So they're going to start fighting. And, and we as black folks need to start fighting. In fact, let's go back to Florida and the NAACP chapter down there. They put in a travel ban on Florida, saying it's just too dangerous to travel here if you're black. Now, my big question to the national NAACP is this: why aren't you just go ahead supporting Florida and make every NAACP chapter support Florida on this? We haven't heard anything yet, but to me, that needs to be supported because they're making it dangerous.
Why do you think the NAACP's not going to do
Well,
that? Come on. They are sponsored by
I know,
large corporations out of Florida.
but still.
And they don't want to stop that business from coming
Well,
in.
but still, this is a term where, you know what, or get off the pot. It's time to do it. It's time to do it. What you gonna do?
Yeah, I think, and again, going back to what Dr. Chadwell said, it's a slippery slope. This was a direct threat to democracy. This was something, an attack on democracy that was actually successful. And so they actually removed representatives that were sent there by the constituents and basically told them, we don't care that your constituents sent you here. You're not going to be allowed to do what you were sent here to do, which was represent and be the voice for those people in Nashville and be the voice for those people in Memphis. And so it's dangerous. This was a direct attack on democracy. I think Biden should have went himself.
Let me ask this, Caleb.
Tennessee.
I often wonder if the law or whatever they use to expel them is antiquated and not correct, because how can you expel somebody that your electorate sent to represent them?
Well,
The
you
law
can
that
do
they
that,
look at
yeah.
was written in the 1800s.
But you can do that. You
Right.
can do that in the Congress. They've expelled
U.S.
members of
Congress?
the U.S. Congress.
Okay.
Yeah. If they get to vote, they can expel a member. They did it to a congressman from Ohio, Youngstown.
Oh, yeah.
Ohio.
Trafficking. When he
Yeah.
pulled down his pants?
And some of the other stuff he was doing. Yeah.
The irony behind all of this is this: they were able to quickly expel these two young men.
Right.
But we've got politicians sitting in the seat right now who were part of the insurrection, and why weren't they quickly expelled?
Well, are you aware that those Republicans in Congress called what the three people did in Tennessee as an insurrection, but they don't cite what happened at the Capitol, U.S. Capitol, on January 6th as a insurrection?
Well, but you have to know, and you do know, that the House of Representatives is now is under the control of Republicans.
Yes.
And they're not gonna do that, because to attack what happened on January 6th is to attack Trump also.
Right.
And
to
he's
attack
got a lot of, especially the speaker, he's only there because Trump told those other folks to take the boycott off and vote for him.
Yeah.
And that's made Marjorie Taylor Greene a very powerful.
The second most powerful person, probably.
And that's frightening, isn't it?
That is frightening. That is frightening.
But I like what New York did to her. She was going to come down there to run her mouth about Trump going to trial. Those New Yorkers they got her in a limousine and got her out of there real fast.
Carl, I wish you had Liza Minnelli video singing New York, New York.
Yeah.
I truly appreciate what they did. They ran that woman out of there.
They got her out of there fast.
Well, look, Fred, what is our hot topic?
A hot topic
Yeah.
is, you want to tell it now?
I want to tell what it is. We're going to take a break and we're going to come right back, and that's what we're going to go with.
Okay, our hot topic is, was Jesus black?
All right. Stay tuned for our hot topic when we come back. Thank you.